If you love America and believe in the values that made it great, join AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC is the conservative alternative to AARP, and it's not just for seniors, it's for anyone who believes in faith, family, and freedom. Members get exclusive discounts, helpful resources, and the excellent AMAC magazine delivered to your door. And right now you can join for as little as $1.20 a month for a 5-year membership. Support the movement that's standing up for America. Visit amac.us/Charlie and join today. President Trump's big push to take control over Washington, D.C. Well, everybody, it is working. This should be the number one news story in the country. And for Democrats in Chicago, Democrats in Philadelphia, Democrats in San Francisco, Democrats in Portland and Seattle, New York, the crime that you are experiencing in your city is because you are choosing to have that crime. We said a week ago that this would be a crucial test. You could deploy troops to Washington, D.C., you could put tanks on the street and make a big show of law and order, but it has to work. You actually have to bring crime down. And now today, we have this. For the first time in ages, D.C. has gone 7 straight days without a murder. In August, this is killing season. This is where the blood flows through the streets, as Enoch Powell would say, in the United Kingdom. This is killing season. This is where gangs are settling scores and those teenage youths are going out. For the first time in ages, carjackings are down 83%. Robbery is down 46%. All violent crime is down 22%. In 1 week, President Donald Trump has reversed America's most dangerous city, our nation's capital, into a far more pleasant place. This is empirical data. So for all of the chattering, clamoring left-wingers out there, can you start to apologize? Can you start to have some contrition? This is now a test case. And for Brandon Johnson and for Karen Bass, this shows that you could solve this, but you want the killing. There is no other explanation. How did this happen? Well, it's the power of President Trump being so straightforward. He's executing rules that are a lot older than the present-day conventional wisdom of D.C. And part of this is also psychological warfare. We're going to bring in the tanks. We're going to bring in the Marines. People mocked me when I said that last week, but I knew what I was saying. Why would I say something like that? Because criminals hate a bigger gun. That's all they understand. All criminals understand is force. They don't want social workers. They don't want some sort of conversation in the corner. They don't want to be persuaded. All they understand is, whoa, there's a tank in the street. Maybe I shouldn't go kill somebody. Criminals have very short-term thinking. They're criminals. 448.
With the guard on the ground, crime is on the decline. For the first time in a long time, D.C. has gone 7 days without a homicide. And that's not all. Carjackings are down 83%. Robberies are down 46%. Car thefts down 21%. And overall violent crime is down 22%.
People who don't feel safe are not free. If you're not able to walk the streets of your great American cities, like walk the streets of Chicago, walk the streets of New York. And so for all the Democrats out there, what is your response? You have ruined America's greatest cities. And President Trump, it is working. This is real empirical data. And the one that matters most is no murders in 1 week. No murders in 1 week. Before Trump took over, they were averaging 2 or 3 murders a night. That is 20 murders a week. And it's working. And we need to keep it up. And now we need to scale it to other cities. This will help tourism. This will help morale in the nation's capital. This will allow us to clean up the open-air slum that Washington, D.C. has become. President Donald Trump decided to do a bold and ballsy maneuver, and that is to take over D.C. Now, Congress is going to have to extend his authorities here coming up, and they better. What are the Democrats going to say? Oh, this is a racist takeover. I'm sorry, who's actually not being murdered right now? So less black people are being murdered, and they're going to say this is a racist takeover. And guess what? We all win as Americans if our cities, especially our nation's capital, are not complete radical hellholes. The brilliance of what President Trump did here is that it was a test case. It very well could have been a swing and a miss. It could have been a failure. Crime could have gone up, by the way. We could have saw the gangs resist this. But deep down, we knew what we learned when George H.W. Bush did one of the most important things in his presidency, I believe in 1991, when he signed the Insurrection Act after the Rodney King riots. And I remember I talked to somebody that was there. They said, Charlie, all these gangbangers, they were firing pistols up in the sky. They were burning police cars. This was after the Rodney King riots. It enveloped the countries before I was alive. And they said, as soon as those tanks moved in their neighborhoods, we did one sweep, they all disappeared. They're all tough guys until the Marines show up. Ayn Rand was wrong on a lot of stuff, especially metaphysics, but she was probably the most talented anti-Marxist, understanding the liberal mind author of the 20th century. I would put her up against anybody. Ayn Rand said this: leftists do not want to own your fortune. They want you to lose it. They do not want you to succeed. They want you to fail. They do not want to live. They want you to die. They desire nothing. The left hates existence, and they keep running, each trying not to learn that the object of his hatred is himself. They are the essence of evil, she wrote about the left. They, those anti-living objects who seek by devouring the world to fill the selfless zero of their soul. It is not your wealth that they're after. Theirs is a conspiracy against the mind, which again means against life and man. Whew, that is well said, Miss Rand. Well said. This is liberals in a nutshell. That explains Maggioni. That explains Mamdani. They side with criminals. They side with parasites. A large chunk of the left is really strongly driven by resentment, and this inherently makes them against solving problems. Why would the left bring down crime rates? They side with criminals all the time. They want more criminals out of jail. They want fewer criminals arrested, not because they think this will help America, but because they know it will make it worse. They are a parasitic force on the United States of America. And this DC thing is a perfect test case. I cannot tell you, this DC thing now allows us to deal in reality. Not a murder for 7 days. That is unheard of in Washington, D.C. in the month of killing of August. There is this nihilistic drive that is the life force of the left. Now we have a control case, and now we have a template. President Donald Trump is the anti-abstraction president. President Donald Trump did not need another think tank from some nonprofit on K Street. By the way, you drive in D.C., there's all these, $100 million buildings of this institute and this foundation. Some of them are plenty nice people. President Donald Trump did not need another, sir, here's a 55-page white paper on how you might. He said, well, I don't know, this is a waste of time. Roll in the tanks. We don't need a white paper. We need Marines. We need bombs in Fordo. We need B-2 bombers flying over Putin's head. We need John Deere tractors, hard business numbers, criminal in cages, and illegals getting tackled in the streets. You see, Russell Kirk wrote about this, one of my favorite authors, no relation. He wrote about this in The Conservative Mind. Russell Kirk wrote, politics is the art of the possible, not the pursuit of utopia. Russell Kirk taught us that where the conservative movement went wrong is they spent too much time in the clouds. And boy, is that true if you listen to the DC conservative political elite. They're constantly talking about abstractions. I can talk about abstractions all the time. I think it's fun at times to talk about the Platonic ideal. We just spent times with Dr. James Orr. And this is the problem at its core of libertarianism, is you get so consumed in the archetype and the ideal that you do not understand, hey, but you have thought one thought too many. It's a great philosopher who said that. Sometimes you could be a victim of going one thought too many. And then Trump's combined with action, with praxis, which is the ancient Greek word for practice. And that is where Republicans are kind of, I don't quite understand this, because they have been raised in a tradition. They have been raised in a culture. They have been raised in a conservative movement that is so overwhelmingly committed to the abstract and the distant while they ignore the immediate and the action-oriented. The DC machinery cares about NATO. President Donald Trump's like, I care about DC. Yeah, NATO's fine, but why don't Europe fund NATO and we fix DC? Trump is the anti-ideologue president. Trump was not a conservative philosopher. He was the first president to live like a real person, suspicious of abstractions, and loyal to reality. He did not bow to these idols of the global order, expert consensus, or institutional prestige. He asked the Kirkian question, not the Charlie Kirk question, the Russell Kirkian question. Does this serve the American people, or is it just a theory? Let me repeat it. Every single time President Donald Trump makes a decision, he says, is this a theory developed by some think tank guy from Yale, or does this actually improve and better the American republic? Russell Kirk famously said ideology is just politics gone mad. And Trump said enough with the madness. And we see it now on full display. For all the people that have had their cars jacked, for all the murders in D.C., you can now know Muriel Bowser, they were choosing to allow it to happen. If you live in a major U.S. city and it's dirty and it's crime infested, it's because your leaders are choosing for that to happen. Crime is a choice. Look at El Salvador. And now it's time for us to scale it to all of America's greatest cities. We have a control case of a week. Let's spread it out to a month, and then let's turn America's cities into the safest in the Western Hemisphere. And I don't care if the Democrats object. Joining us now is a great friend, Alex Marlow, author of Breaking the Law. President Trump says it's a must-read. Alex, welcome to the program. We love to have you on at least once a week. Everyone should purchase the book, Breaking the Law. I want to get your analysis of what's happening in D.C. Alex, how rare and unusual is it in the month of August to have a whole week without a single murder in D.C.? You lived in D.C., you built a wonderful company in D.C., Breitbart News. We're seeing carjackings down, we're seeing crime. This is empirical, verifiable, third-party, controlled data. Alex Marlow, your thoughts?
It's unbelievable. What Trump is doing is amazing in D.C., and we just got word that apparently he's going to be doing a ride-along tonight. He's going to be out on patrol with D.C., which is just with the D.C. police. This is the type of stuff that works as a leader, that you get your hands dirty, you show people that you're willing to mix it up with the people and actually do things yourself. It's just such great optics. Just think about him serving the fries up at McDonald's, what that looks like, and he's doing that tonight. Just the fact that he's getting the word out, Charlie, that there's a new sheriff in town, literally, and we're not going to tolerate crime. That in and of itself is a massive deterrent. He sees this. It's so obvious. And yet the fools who are running that city for so long refuse to do anything like that because they don't want the crime statistics to go up, which inevitably it'll happen in the short term. And that'll be an admission that they've been wrong for so long. Trump sees through their games and he's cracking down. And I just applaud it so much.
Yeah, again, it's just unheard of to have this kind of drop in crime. Alex, what are you hearing from people on the ground in D.C. that have been in D.C., lived in D.C., and that know what D.C. used to be and the results that President Trump is now delivering?
So what I'm hearing more is from my left-wing sources are trying to get the party to back off of the opposition to this because they're saying that this is so obvious and necessary and things are going to be so much better for people who come to our capital, visitors who come through here, foreign dignitaries and foreign tourists who come here are going to notice this. And why the Democrats insist on being again on the wrong side of an 80-20 issue, they're deeply concerned that they couldn't resist the impulse just to say Trump is doing it. It must not only be wrong, Charlie, it must be fascism. This isn't fascism. This is completely legal and it's completely necessary if we're to be a society of law and order. So there is a light panic going on the Democrat side.